Okay, so what I would want to talk about in this video briefly is the peer review function in Canvas. If you are teaching English 123 and using the common shell for 123, what you will find is that a number of assignments have this peer review function associated with them. I want to show you where the peer review function is in Canvas so that you can modify it if you want, because there's a number of ways to approach the peer review function. I don't think any one is necessarily better than another, and it will really depend on what you're trying to do in your class in terms of how it is you use the peer review function, but I just want to show you how it works. So if you are in, your basic English 123 shell, I'm going to go into my assignments and I'm going to bring up assignment 6. I believe assignment 6 is probably the first assignment in the class that has a peer review activity associated with the instructions. Okay. I'm not going to worry so much about the wording of the peer review portion of the assignment here. I just want to show you how the peer review function works in terms of the assignment setup. If you go under Edit and you scroll down about a little more than halfway, you'll see there is this peer review requirement box. And if you check that, you'll set up the assignment in such a way that students will have the opportunity to complete peer reviews. Canvas asks you how you want to assign peer reviews, if you want to do it manually or automatically. Neither is perfect. Manually involves you going in and literally assigning student writing to everyone in your class, which is probably not ideal in terms of your overall workload, but it is an option. Automatically assigned peer reviews is perhaps a better option, and what this does essentially is it will assign students peer reviews to work on at a time that you choose. I tend to make the assignments happen automatically shortly after the due date for the assignment. I've run into some issues with this though. One of the issues is that Canvas does not provide peer review material to a student if they have not turned in their work for the assignment. Okay, so if I have 15 students who have turned in assignment 6 and I have 4 students who haven't turned in assignment 6, if I try to take class time for peer review work, what tends to happen is those 4 students haven't completed the assignment yet, and so they don't get the peer review material. So you may want to think about how it is you use peer review. Is it something that you want to do in class? Do you want to create more of a lag between the time that the assignment is due and the time that the peer review is assigned? It might be a good idea. You may have some students who are turning in work, a little bit later, 6-12 hours later, something like that. And if you do that, you will simply have fewer students who say, hey, I can't find my peer review. And if you ask them, have you turned in your work yet for the assignment? And they say no, then you can say, well, that's why. What also happens is when students have not had a peer review material assigned to them automatically, you have the option of adding it manually for them. And that takes a little bit of time in class. And so it's not perfect. What's good about the peer review function is that it gives students an opportunity to look at a sample of writing from someone else in the class or a couple other peers in the class, and it gives them the opportunity to comment on that document, usually in the comment box for the assignment. You can set it up so that it also gives them an opportunity to fill out a rubric for that assignment. So when the student looks at their work, they'll see your marking on the rubric, but they can also select between the marks that their peers gave them. That can be useful as a way to build understanding in the students about what the different categories on the rubric mean and what the different values in the rubric mean, proficient, advanced, and developing, things like that. So those are some strategies. You can also make sure that the peer reviews appear anonymously. I tend not to pick that within the context of a single class. I think it's important that names be associated with what it is people are saying when they're commenting on each other's work. I've generally not had problems with unkind online comments, but it has happened in a few instances where I've had students posting anonymously take more of a swipe at their peers than they should have. And that's something that I tend to see in a lot of first year classes. When students themselves are very insecure in their own writing, they will be incredibly harsh when they comment on their peers' work. Oftentimes when they themselves are not capable of producing work of similar quality, or only slightly better quality. So the anonymous feature may not be a great feature. I don't use it that often. And so this is something that you'll see throughout English 123, and I'm definitely going to be leaning on it this semester as a way to help distribute samples of student writing to the different students in the class, so that I'm not handing out paper or collecting paper or shoving paper around and things like that. But, to be honest, you might also find it perfectly reasonable to simply post a sample of student writing into a Google document and then ask the class to comment on that document. If you don't want to use the peer reviews in the assignments, it's very easy. You simply come into this editing feature for the assignment and you just click this button, okay? And it would take away the peer review need. I have associated it with the course so that it's there as a resource, but you could take it off just as easily. Okay, so if you have questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know.